Hey guys, Mankind here. I'm going to walk you through the new garage system. Um, First off, when you come into the garage zone, you're going to have two default ways to open the garage menu. The first will be a text UI that shows when you come into the zone for key press. Now we'll open the menu. This is disabled. You can disable this in the config. The other default method is through the aux radio menu. When you come in the garage, it will populate the garage store and retrieve, and that will also let you open the menu. Once you have the menu open, you'll get the information for each car with your fuel, engine health, body health. If the car has a fake plate, it will show here. And if you track mileage, there's an option for that in the config. You can track that here as well. If the car is out on the street, it will also show, out. I'll show you that now. So if we spawn a car, and I take this, we'll just drop this off somewhere random. Now it will show the location is out on streets. Now, when the car is out on the street, if I choose this, it will actually set a waypoint to where the car is anywhere on the map. So then you can track your vehicles that way. There also is spawn protection built into each of the spawn points. You can set up as many spawn points per garage as you want. For this garage, for example, has every space in the whole area. So the script checks for whichever one you're standing closest to, and that's where it will spawn the car. As long as there isn't another car there already. So, for example, if I come over here, it'll spawn in the closest spot to me. And if I give myself another car, it will just choose the next available point. So cars don't spawn on top of each other. That's the basic setup for the system. There is 4 different types of garages. This garage here is a public garage, which can be used by any player to store their personal vehicles. Each garage has 4 vehicle types. You can set them to land vehicles, which basically anything that is driven on the ground can be stored here. You can set up boat garages, so anything that's driven in the water can be stored there. And you can set up air garages to store planes and helicopters. And you also have the option to do air and land, so you can store air vehicles and land vehicles at the same time. For public garages, right now I have unique garages turned on, so I can only view vehicles that are actually parked at this garage specifically. If I turn that off in the config, I'll show you. You'll actually be able to access your cars from any garage in the any public garage. Turn this. Unique garages, we'll turn that off. So now you see my list of vehicles is much bigger. If I have any cars in the impound, that will show here. So I have a club that's currently in the impound, and I have a motorcycle in the impound. I'll show you the impound garage now, which is also the second garage type. So we have public, and then we have impound garage. Now once here, let me set my job to something basic. So most players, when they come here, they'll see their vehicles that are impounded. If there was a timer set, it will show the remaining time here underneath the car. And once the timer's out, they'll be able to get this out. If there's a fee set, they'll have to pay the fee. And that's all done through the impound command, which I'll show you in a little bit. Now, if I have my job set as police, which you can change this in the config to which jobs can access this, and I open the impound garage, this will actually show me other players' impounded vehicles. For example, this club isn't my vehicle. It shows for this player, and then it gives me more options. It will show me the owner, how much time is remaining on the impound reason, and then I have two options. I can release this to the owner if the owner is here. It will check and make them pay. As long as they pay, it will release it. And if I want to just send it back to their garage, I can, and this waives the impound fee, so I can just send that vehicle back to that player's garage, and they'll be able to go to that garage and retrieve it. That's pretty much it for the impound. There is, by default, an impound set up for boats. It works the same way, it just only allows you to send boats to that garage, and same thing for air. There's a default air impound. So you can impound helicopters and planes, and you can impound boats by default, as well as cars. The third type of garage is a job garage. I will show you that now. So a job garage is pretty much how it sounds. You can only park job vehicles. So first of all, you have to set up the job garage with a job itself. This one is set up to police. Now, so only players with that job can access the garage menu. With that being said, you also have to set up what vehicles can be stored here. So in the config file, you'll set up all your job vehicles, and only those will be able to store. You cannot store personal vehicles in the job garage. And you can also set up, if you want to use the job garage as a shared garage or not. If it is, you'll be able to view and purchase shared vehicles through the menu, and you can set up what grades in the job can do that. So for example, if I want to purchase a shared vehicle, it's going to show a list of all the vehicles that I have set up for that, and these are just for testing. You can also enable to use society funds, and you can set up what grade can do that. So if you only want the top grade to be able to use society funds, you can set that. So if I want to purchase this cruiser, if I'm available, I can use the society funds, and I can set the plate if I wish. So I can just do LSPD 10, and that will buy the shared vehicles. So once I store this, any person you have set up to be able to use these will be able to view the shared vehicles, and they can take these out. So anyone can use the shared vehicles. You'll also have the option to set up to be able to purchase personal ones. So if I want to purchase a personal job vehicle, you can do that. Same thing with the plate. If you leave it empty, it will just generate a random plate number. And then those vehicles can be stored here. If I try and store this in a public garage, it won't take it because it's a job vehicle. And then I can take out my personal vehicles here. Everything else works the same. The only difference is for the job vehicles and the job garage, you have to set up the vehicles, and only those can be stored here. But you could do this for taxi, and you could have shared taxis. You could do this for EMS, etc. And there is still types. So, for example, this garage here is for police, but it is only for land vehicles. I have one set up here on the roof. This is also a job garage, but this is set up for air vehicles. So if I open this garage, and the config is the same, when you do the job vehicles, you list all your vehicles in one spot, but it will only show the certain types in that garage. So this one is set up for air, so it will only show for air garage, so I can only do the police Maverick. You can also set up default mods for these cars to spawn with when you buy them. So for example, I can set up for the helicopter when I buy it to have the police livery, and if there's any mods that you want it to have default when you buy it, you can set that as well. And that's not supposed to disappear like that. The QB police job is on. There we go. So there's lots of different things you can do with this for vehicles. I also have one default set up for police, for boats. So you could come down here and actually have shared boat garage. So the last setup for type of garage is a private garage. I'll show you two different examples. The first one I'll show you will be set up with a gang authorization. So I set this garage up here for the Lost MC gang to have their own personal garage. So if I set my gang to Ballas, for example, I won't be able to access this garage, and it won't show on the map. Pretty straightforward. You can set up a private garage to have any authorization that you want. There's 4 different types. There's job, gang, property, and then custom. So obviously with a job auth, you have to have that certain job. The gang, you have to have that certain gang. With property, you have to have keys. And then, like I said, there's a custom option where you can do your own. Now I'll show you the property authorization now. So by default, I have this set up to work with QB housing, but you can integrate any housing system you want, depending on how you check for keys. So the way QB housing works is the property checks goes by the name of the property. So for example, I own this property here. I own a house here, so if I want to set a garage, there's currently no garage here, but I can add one. There's 2 different commands. There is an admin command for just add garage, which will let us add any type. We can also set up a add house garage, which can just be set to a job. So if I do add house garage command, it's not going to work because I don't have the configured job, which I have set to real estate. So if I change my job to real estate and then do add house garage, it's going to populate this menu. Now I know to configure this garage for this house, all I have to do is match the name in the database, and I know that this house is Vinewood Boulevard 1, and then I'll set a label. Just do pretty much the same. This is database information. Confirm that. I can set a blip. This is a default. We can change this if we want. Now it's going to pull the chords from based off where I'm standing and the way I'm facing. So the garage is going to populate just this way as far and with spawning the vehicle. So if I confirm, that's going to create the garage and I can immediately access it, which I already have a car stored here, and that will allow me to pull out my personal vehicle and store it here. Now if I want to edit this garage, there's 2 commands. Now for the real estate job, it's edit house garage. And when this list populates, it will only show other house garages, and it'll show the one you're closest to first in the list. So once I open this, I can edit the garage name if I need to, if I made a mistake or I need to change it, and this will update automatically. You can also edit the blip if I want to change the blip name, and if I need to, I can remove the garage, and that will take it away completely. It's immediately gone. Now, if that is set up for jobs. If I want to use the admin command, there's a lot more. Setup involved. So if I do add garage, then we get a lot more options. So if I'm going to do this house garage, I'm going to do the same name. And then here's where you would choose your garage type. This is a private garage, and this is a land garage. So we'll confirm this. Now you have 2 different options. You can set the garage zone up to be either a poly zone or a box zone. So before you add the garage, you need to decide whether you want to set it up with a poly zone or a box zone, and then get your coordinates. In this case, I'm going to show you a poly zone. So to do that, I'm just going to do the zone command for auxlib with poly. And then I'm going to just set up my coordinates. We'll just do a small polyzone here. Save that. Test. So once you have that generated, you're going to need two other sets of chords. One for the blip, which would be a vector 2. What I do is I usually just open a notepad file, paste in my vector 2 chords, and then I need to get coordinates for the spawn zone, which is a vector 4, which I can do right off where I'm standing right now. So I can just do the same chords, but a vector 4. And then I can add my garage. So, Vinewood Boulevard 1. Private garage land. We are using a polyzone. I have my blip chords saved here. And then we will name this house garage. We can change the sprite and the colors if we want, or we can disable the blip. And you can edit all this later if you wish. Now we need the polyzone coordinates, which are in our auxlib file. And the size is 4. That default size. We can turn the zone debug on if we want to debug the zone. We'll turn it on. Confirm. Vehicle spawn point. That was my vector 4. Add this. And now we choose our authorization. For this case, we're just using a property authorization. We could add as much as we want. If I want to add jobs to this, I could. If I wanted to add gangs to this, I could do that as well. But in this case, we're only doing property. Confirm that, the garage will immediately be created, and if I step outside the zone, we should be able to see it. That way we can make sure our zone is populated properly. So if we use the edit garage command, this is the closest garage to us, and then we can edit everything we just did. So if I want to go turn the zone debug off, I'll go to edit zone, turn the debug off, and that will update immediately. And then we can use the garage. And I can store and unstore right away. So I will mention by default I have 22 garages set up around the map. What else? Am I forgetting anything? So when you use the add garage command, every garage can be set up using either a polyzone or a box zone, with the exception of a boat garage, and I will show you why. So if I go down here to boat garage, so boat garage is set up different because we don't want to have to go into the water to be able to open the menu. So a boat garage is set up actually with a point. So when you come into the distance of the point, you can be able to open the menu and then spawn in your boat. And then when you store the boat, it will actually teleport you back up onto the dock. So this is the only difference between setting up any of the garages. And I believe that's everything. That's a pretty big overview of the system and the commands. The only other thing I guess I haven't shown you is the impound. So if I spawn a vehicle, okay. Now this is set up to a job also, and I'm still real estate, so I can't do it. So if I set my job back to police, here is the impound command and menu. So I can set an optional reason for, let's say, speeding. By default, the owner can actually retrieve his vehicle. If I want them to have a police officer get it out, then I can untick this, and they will be able to view it in the garage, but they won't be able to take it out. It will tell them they have to seek personnel. So I'll let them take it out. I can set a cost here of like $50, and then I can choose how long to impound the car for. So I can do 2 minutes, and then I can choose which impound I want to send it to. Currently, there's only one impound set up for land vehicles. Now, if you were impounding a boat, this or an airplane, it would only show those garages here. And then I can impound this vehicle. And once this is done, it will immediately show for me. So if I go to the state impound garage where I sent it to, it should show, yeah, the Camacho, and there's only 2 minutes left. So once the timer runs out, I'll be able to pay the fee and take the car out. I think that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the script.